Now the food enters the stomach, which is a large J-shaped muscular organ. And where is it located? It lies in the left upper portion of the abdomen, just below the diaphragm. You remember diaphragm from the respiratory system? So it lies just below the diaphragm on the left side. The shape of the stomach is similar to J. And the glands which are present in the walls of the stomach, they secrete a special kind of digestive juice which is termed as the gastric juice. If you see the gastric juice, it again contains three important components. The first component is HCl, or as you know, it is hydrochloric acid. So what is the function of HCl? It makes the food acidic. The food which enters the stomach is now acidic in nature. Only when it makes the food acidic, the next component, which is pepsin, will be able to function. So HCl makes the food acidic, and then it also helps in converting pepsinogen into pepsin. Pepsin is actually in the form of an inactive enzyme called as pepsinogen. So HCl also converts this inactive form into active pepsin. And again, in case any harmful substance has entered inside the stomach, HCl also helps to kill or destroy these organisms. The next component is an enzyme, pepsin, which will convert proteins into simpler forms, which are termed as peptones. So digestion of carbohydrates begins in the mouth itself, and digestion of proteins or breakdown of proteins begins in the stomach by the action of pepsin, which converts proteins into simpler forms called as peptones. And the third component is mucus. Just like saliva had mucus, here also the gastric juice, they release mucus. And this mucus, they help in protecting the inner lining or the inner walls of stomach, because we know that HCl is acidic in nature. So it has to protect the walls, inner walls, from getting corroded or from getting destroyed. So mucus helps in protection of the inner lining of the stomach. So all these three components are termed as the gastric juice, which is released by the glands of stomach. Now the food here again is partially digested, and again here it is given a term or a name called as chyme. So the food after digestion in the stomach is termed as CHYME, chyme. You must have heard about the term acidity, and people are advised to have food at proper timings. It is because excessive secretion of HCl. HCl is secreted from time to time, regular intervals. So in case we do not have food at proper time, then it might result in the corrosion or damage of the walls of stomach. So excessive secretion of HCl might lead to a condition called as ulcer, or it is termed as peptic ulcer. And this is caused by a bacteria named Helicobacter pylori. Okay, so that is the reason why, and it results in acute pain. It is very painful. So it might result in, initially it might start as a gastric problem, and then it might lead to ulcer. So hence it is always advised that we have our meals or food at regular intervals and at proper time. Now this chyme, or the partially digested food from stomach, has to enter inside the small intestine, and this is regulated by a special set of muscles called as sphincter muscle. Okay, and this muscle is present in the stomach, between the stomach and the intestine. So they are called as pyloric sphincter muscle. So food is now pushed inside the small intestine for further digestion. Now before we see what happens in the small intestine, let me just tell you that different type of food components, we know that food components may be carbohydrates, proteins or fats. So different type of food components, they take different amount of time for digestion inside the stomach. In case of carbohydrate food, they usually take the lowest time, around 1 or 2 hours. If you see proteins, it might take more than 2 hours for digestion, so anywhere between 2 to 4 hours. And fatty foods, they take the longest time for digestion, more than 3 hours and around 6 hours for digestion to happen. Okay, now this food now enters inside the small intestine, and if you see the small intestine, it is the longest part of the alimentary canal, and it usually measures around 6 to 6.5 meter long in human beings. Now the length of the small intestine varies according to the feeding habits. So in case large amount of vegetal matter is taken by the organism, like herbivores, it is very long. But for carnivores, if you see, they consume mostly animal products. So for them, if you see, the small intestine is shorter than that which is present in herbivores. Okay, so the length varies according to the feeding habit of the organism. So the small intestine, as I told you, it is the largest part. Then why is it called as small intestine? Because the diameter or the cavity is narrow. So since the cavity is narrow, it is termed as small intestine. It is extensively coiled and it is the site of complete digestion. So the remaining digestion gets completed inside the small intestine itself. And here in the small intestine, apart from secretion of its own, it also receives secretions from liver as well as pancreas. Now, as I mentioned earlier, liver is the largest digestive gland and it secretes a digestive juice which is termed as bile. And this bile is temporarily stored in a pouch-like organ called as gallbladder. You can go back and see the parts of digestive system. You will be able to locate the liver and gallbladder there. If you see the bile, the color of the bile is yellowish green due to the presence of two pigments, namely biliverdin and bilirubin. And along with these pigments, it also contains bile salts. Now, what are the functions of bile? First is, earlier the food was acidic in nature. Now the function of bile is to make the food alkaline so that the next enzyme can act on the food. And then the bile salts which are present in the bile, they break the fat into smaller particles or smaller globules. And this process where these large fat molecules are broken down into smaller globules is termed as emulsification. And the second largest gland, which is pancreas, situated just beneath the stomach, they secrete pancreatic juice which contains again three enzymes: pancreatic trypsin, pancreatic lipase and pancreatic amylase. So trypsin will again act on proteins and convert the proteins and peptones into peptides, which is again another simpler form. Then lipase will convert fat or fat globules into fatty acids and glycerol, and amylase will act on starch and other carbohydrates and convert them into simple sugar. So along with these secretions from liver and pancreas, the small intestine, they also have intestinal glands which will secrete intestinal juice, which is termed as succus entericus. So here the final digestion occurs, the complete digestion is carried out. So the intestinal juice again has various enzymes and components which will complete the digestion process. So all the peptides are converted into amino acids, maltose are again converted into simple sugar and glucose, and the remaining fats are converted into fatty acids and glycerol. So digestion is completed, and as you have learnt earlier, the walls of the small intestine have numerous finger-like projections which are termed as villi. Okay, and these villi are closely with the blood capillaries. So the function of villi is to increase the surface area for absorption of the digested food and to transport it to the blood through the blood capillaries. So absorption, also digestion gets completed in the small intestine, and absorption is also taken care by the small intestine itself through the action of villi and blood capillaries. So now the the food is transported through the blood to different organs. And the next step, fourth step after absorption, is assimilation. Now whatever digested food which is now transported to different parts, it is utilized by the body for different activities, used for growth, repair, and then in case there are any unused food, then this is stored in the form of glycogen. Okay, and the last part of nutrition is digestion, where the undigested food from the small intestine, now it is transferred to the large intestine. So it is in the large intestine, if you see the walls of large intestine, it will try to absorb maximum amount of water from this undigested food. Now the food is in the form of solid feces or stool, and then it is temporarily stored in the last part of large intestine, which is called as rectum, and then finally it is removed from the body through the anus. And this movement is again controlled by a set of muscles which is termed as anal sphincter. So with this we have completed nutrition. So go through the concepts again, revise the running notes, and in case you have any clarification, make a note of it. And tomorrow we will start the next life process, which is respiration. See you tomorrow, children.